The air in Cincinnati was cold on December 3rd, but the deception unfolding inside the Christ Hospital carried a chill far deeper than the weather. Benjamin Naylor, a 31-year-old Ohio man, held a position within this medical system, a place entrusted with care and safety. Yet, his identity was bifurcated. One life visible, the other hidden in the recesses of the internet, a life of unspeakable depravity that was about to collide violently with his professional existence. For more true crime stories like this, hit the subscribe button. At the hospital's front desk, a man stood dressed incongruously for the setting, wearing a festive snowman hat and adopting a cheerful, flamboyant demeanor. He wasn't there to deliver holiday cheer. He was delivering justice. Posing as a secret Santa, the individual inquired about an employee named Benjamin Naylor. For groups like Predator Poachers, anonymity is a tool, but for Alex Rosen, the organization's founder, the spectacle was a calculated strategy to lower all defenses. The guard, believing the caller was merely delivering a harmless gift, unknowingly provided the precise building and address where Naylor worked, saving the investigators hours of painstaking, manual searching across the vast hospital campus. This unwitting assistance sealed Naylor's fate, proving how a simple lapse in institutional security could expose a deep, dangerous secret. The target soon emerged. Benjamin Naylor, appearing unsuspecting, walked directly into the meticulously crafted trap. The moment Naylor was within earshot, the ruse evaporated. The secret Santa revealed himself not as a gift giver, but as an inquisitor, speaking of messages from Reddit and activity on the encrypted app Session. Naylor's reaction was immediate and telling. He didn't deny the allegations, nor did he storm off and demand a manager. Instead, he acknowledged the inquisitor, stating, "I know who you are. I've seen your content." This recognition indicated Naylor was aware of predator-catching groups, and yet, astonishingly, he agreed to step outside and speak with the man he knew to be a vigilante. The genesis of this confrontation lay in Naylor's digital footprint, which had been meticulously tracked. His activity was centered on two platforms: the large public forum Reddit and the highly secretive Session Messenger. Naylor utilized Reddit, a site with millions of users, not for typical discourse, but for trolling, or casting a line into forums where those with similar prohibited interests congregated. He used specific, chilling terminology, notably no-limit trading, a phrase that signaled his interest in the most extreme and illegal forms of child sexual abuse material, CSAM. This digital signal was picked up by a Predator Poachers decoy, a profile posing as a 13-year-old boy. Naylor initiated contact and quickly sought to move the conversation away from the relatively visible Reddit platform to Session. Session is an end-to-end encrypted messaging application, favored by those seeking to conduct illicit activity precisely because its design makes data recovery and surveillance extremely difficult. For Naylor, it offered a perceived shield of invincibility, a place where he could communicate without fear of law enforcement or administrative discovery. Alex Rosen confirmed that Naylor's initial communications with the decoy were highly perverted and suggestive, although they did not immediately cross the line into outright solicitation of a sex act. For the investigators, however, the content of the chat logs was secondary to the context. Naylor's lingo, his aggressive push to communicate about trading, and his rapid movement to an encrypted application provided a clear profile that suggested a deeper, more dangerous criminal enterprise than mere online banter. After 6 years in operation, Rosen and his team were able to highly assume that Naylor possessed CSAM, an assumption based on the specialized language and behaviors commonly exhibited by collectors of this material. This assumption became the sole driving force behind their decision to travel to Cincinnati and execute the in-person confrontation. The ultimate goal was not to secure a charge of importuning, soliciting a minor, which is notoriously difficult for citizen groups to prosecute, particularly in states like Ohio where the law is wishy-washy. The goal was to secure an admission of possessing CSAM, an absolute crime in all 50 states, regardless of the identity of the decoy. This strategy shifted the legal focus from a flawed encounter to a clear-cut felony, one that would legally compel the Cincinnati Police Department to act. The confrontation moved outside to the parking lot. Rosen utilized a specific, calculated psychological pressure designed to elicit a confession. He employed a non-judgmental, almost empathetic tone, portraying himself as the only person who understood the internet and, paradoxically, was willing to have Naylor's back. This manipulation technique aimed to convince Naylor that speaking openly was his best, perhaps only, option to mitigate his circumstances. The fact that Naylor was aware of Rosen's work likely contributed to his stunned, compliant behavior. The conversation rapidly progressed from vague online activity to the specific, horrific nature of the material Naylor was trading. Naylor was asked about a video, known within their digital circles, that depicted a man molesting his own baby brother. Naylor admitted unequivocally to having seen the video quite a few times. He confirmed the victim was baby age, or an infant. This admission of viewing and possessing materials involving infants was the critical evidentiary threshold that predator poachers required. It was a direct, on-camera confession to a felony charge. The audio and video evidence was now secured, but the confession alone was only the prelude. The true measure of Naylor's crimes lay on his personal cellular phone, a device he had clutched throughout the conversation. What specific, digital evidence did the authorities uncover when they finally gained access to the contents of that phone? And how did those findings transform a potential solicitation case into multiple counts of severe felony charges? For more true crime stories like this, hit the subscribe button. The transition from a speculative online chat to a prosecutable felony hinged entirely on the strategy employed by Alex Rosen. As confirmed by the head of predator poachers, the legal environment in Ohio is challenging for citizen-led stings. While the law in 42 states permits prosecution if the offender believes they are talking to a minor, Ohio, along with jurisdictions like Kentucky and Pennsylvania, stipulates that the decoy must generally be a law enforcement officer for certain importuning, solicitation, laws to apply. Even a face-to-face meeting or the exchange of explicit photos, in this specific legal climate, might not have secured a conviction for solicitation if conducted by a non-police decoy. However, the legal statute covering the possession and distribution of child sexual abuse material CSAM remains robust and consistent across all 50 states. This was the target. By pivoting the conversation away from the specifics of the decoy and directly addressing the CSAM trade, Rosen successfully guided Naylor into confessing to a separate, absolute felony. Naylor's admission of viewing and possessing images and videos of infants was an acknowledgement of a crime that exists independent of the sting operation itself. It became the legal crowbar used to force law enforcement's hand. Rosen openly stated that securing the CSAM confession basically forces the cops to act because the evidence, the material on Naylor's phone, had nothing to do with the decoys. The predator poachers became the reporting party for an existing crime, giving the Cincinnati police a clear mandate to investigate and charge. The investigators intentionally downplayed the decoy encounter during the confrontation, focusing intensely on the CSAM, confirming that their objective was singularly dedicated to securing the possession charge, which they achieved in detail. Following the detailed confession, the Cincinnati Police Department was contacted and swiftly arrived on the scene at the Christ Hospital. The confrontation concluded with Naylor being taken into custody. The immediate priority for the police was the secure seizure of his personal cellular phone. This phone, which Naylor had been carrying and which contained the illegal material he had just admitted to possessing, was taken as evidence on the spot. The host noted that Naylor was first taken into custody on December 3rd, the day of the sting, but his formal booking and charging process did not occur until days later. This gap, which lasted almost a week, suggests a crucial step was undertaken by law enforcement: the forensic dumping of his electronic device. Investigators needed time to process the phone's contents, not only to verify Naylor's confession but to catalog every illegal count. This meticulous process is vital for ensuring the evidence is admissible in court and that the maximum appropriate charges are levied. The delay confirmed that the police had acted on the search warrant and were in the process of meticulously collecting the evidence. For more true crime stories like this, hit the subscribe button. Rosen speculated that Naylor might have practiced what is colloquially known as a beat and delete method, viewing the material and quickly deleting it, avoiding becoming a massive hoarder to reduce his risk. Yet, Rosen was confident that digital forensics would retrieve everything, stating that it's all traceable. Regardless of Naylor's attempts at caution, the fact that he was charged multiple days later confirmed that the police recovered the deleted or stored files, finding more than enough material to formally charge him. The results of the forensic examination were laid bare in the court documents, specifically the affidavit filed against Benjamin Naylor. This document confirmed the nightmare the investigators had anticipated. Naylor was found to have knowingly possessed and distributed child sexual abuse material, CSAM, on his personal phone. The charges filed against him were severe felonies: 3 counts of pandering sexually oriented matter involving a minor, 1 count of illegal use of a minor in nudity-oriented material or performance. The details within the affidavit were the only instance in the entire record where the true victim's experiences were described. The document stated that Naylor possessed 2 images and 2 videos of child sex abuse material. The specific descriptions of this material were horrifying and confirmed Naylor's interest in the youngest victims. One video depicted a baby being sexually assaulted and screaming. Another showed a boy being sexually assaulted and begging for it to stop. These descriptions solidified the heinous nature of Naylor's crime, revealing that he was not merely trading files, but was a collector and distributor of documented suffering. Naylor's admission to being attracted to ages 0 through 10 was confirmed by the actual evidence found on his device, directly tying his online lingo to his criminal possession. Benjamin Naylor was now officially charged, his crimes detailed in the affidavit, and he was held without bond. But the sting operation that brought him down was not isolated. It was part of a relentless national crusade. How did Alex Rosen and predator poachers develop the highly effective, yet legally contentious, tactics used in Cincinnati, and what motivated them to dedicate their lives to this dangerous and emotionally scarring work? For more true crime stories like this, hit the subscribe button. The arrest of Benjamin Naylor in Cincinnati was not an isolated incident but a data point in a national campaign run by predator poachers. Alex Rosen revealed that the organization, though run out of Texas, operates through various groups and collaborators across the United States, citing partners in states like Illinois. The decentralized nature of their work allows them to navigate the diverse and often conflicting legal stipulations regarding decoy work across state lines. The Ohio operation was deliberately executed as part of a larger sweep. Rosen mentioned that on the very same night Naylor was caught, they apprehended another individual, Tony Madden, in Defiance, Ohio. This broader context is crucial to understanding the legal decisions made in Naylor's case. Rosen explained that the group has compiled an extensive track record over 6.5 years, achieving arrests in all 50 states and securing convictions in 43 of them, totaling over 260 convictions. This deep experience informed their strategic focus on the CSAM possession statute, a law they could universally rely on to enforce accountability when local solicitation laws were unclear or non-cooperative with citizen stings. Rosen offered a highly detailed explanation of the attempt statutes in states like Ohio. He confirmed that while the charge of importuning solicitation might require a law enforcement officer decoy, prosecutors could pursue a criminal attempt to commit a felony charge. This felony, while a notch lower than the full importuning charge, can be used when the suspect believes the circumstances are true, i.e., they think they are talking to a minor, and attempts the crime. Rosen highlighted that in Defiance, Ohio, Tony Madden was indeed charged with criminal attempt at importuning, proving that Ohio prosecutors could utilize the statute when necessary. The fact that Naylor was not charged with this, but strictly on CSAM possession, suggests the authorities prioritized the more irrefutable evidence of the material found on his phone. Alex Rosen, the leader of the operation, started this dangerous work at the age of 19 and was 25 at the time of the Naylor interview, dedicating 6.5 years of his life to this cause. When asked about his motivation, he spoke about 2 distinct drivers: the profound sense of moral disgust and the unparalleled fulfillment of making a tangible difference in child safety. He described the motivation as overcoming the absolute cringe factor, the disgust of the material and the people involved. Beyond the repulsion, however, was the profound satisfaction of intervention. He cited the immediate impact of their work, detailing the case of Tony Madden, who admitted to molesting 3 of his children, including his own 2-year-old son, while actively committing the crimes. To be a part of the team that actively puts a stop to that is, according to Rosen, the most fulfilling feeling, allowing them to go to sleep at night knowing that you made a difference. This deep, personal commitment explained the tenacity and financial effort, such as traveling from Texas to Cincinnati, required to pursue cases like Naylor's. For more true crime stories like this, hit the subscribe button. Rosen's detailed knowledge of the digital landscape, his 6 years of experience tracking online behaviors, and his understanding of the specific lingo used in the trade of illicit material allowed him to identify high-risk individuals like Naylor, even when their chat logs might appear PG-13, as he described Naylor's interaction with the decoy. Naylor's online advertisement of his dark interests was enough for Rosen to pursue him, confirming that the digital trail often provided sufficient evidence of criminal intent and material possession long before a solicitation attempt occurred. The success of the confrontation relied heavily on Rosen's ability to exert psychological pressure, the leverage he spoke of. He made it clear that while they cannot blackmail or threaten, the goal is to make the suspect feel that talking to the investigator is their best option forward. Rosen's stated strategy was to act as the only non-judgmental figure who understands the internet and, therefore, the only person who can truly have your back. This manipulative sales pitch often concluding with the powerful line, "Everybody that understands the internet is going to try to get after you. I'm the only person who understands the internet and that's going to have your back in your whole life," proved incredibly effective in convincing suspects to disclose their darkest secrets. Naylor's own confession was a testament to this technique. His stunned compliance and decision to talk, rather than walk away, were the result of this calculated psychological pressure. He was faced with the immediate threat of exposure at his workplace versus the perceived mitigation offered by an empathetic conversationalist. Naylor, already recognizing Rosen from his online presence, believed he was communicating with an authority who could somehow control the narrative. This leverage secured the crucial video evidence that would later be handed to the Cincinnati police on a silver platter. With Benjamin Naylor's criminal charges now public and confirmed by the explicit details in the court affidavit, the focus shifted from the sting to the institutional consequences. What was the immediate fallout for Naylor's career at the Christ Hospital, and what are the final, ongoing legal steps required to ensure this predator remains off the streets and faces the full measure of justice? For more true crime stories like this, hit the subscribe button. The professional consequences for Benjamin Naylor were swift and absolute. Naylor's employment at the Christ Hospital ended immediately following his arrest on December 3rd. The institution's decision to terminate his employment was a necessary response to the confirmed charges, severing all professional ties between a man implicated in child abuse material and a medical facility that serves children and vulnerable populations. This was a critical step in ensuring public safety, especially given Naylor's access to a system where children are frequently present. The exposure of Naylor's dual life, the hospital employee and the online predator, highlighted the urgent need for vigilance across all sectors. The fact that Naylor was able to operate while maintaining a position of potential access in a care environment added a layer of grave concern to his case. His specific interest in ages 0 through 10, which was cited by Rosen and confirmed by the materials on his phone, made his presence in any public-facing institutional role highly dangerous. The hospital's firing marked the end of his life of professional normalcy and the beginning of a life dominated by felony prosecution. Following the forensic analysis of Naylor's phone, which confirmed the 4 felony counts, Naylor was formally booked into the Hamilton County Justice Center in Cincinnati. Critically, he was held without bond, a decision reserved for defendants deemed a severe flight risk or, more commonly in these cases, an extreme danger to the community. This no-bond status reflected the severity of the crimes outlined in the affidavit, particularly the possession of material involving infants and the distribution aspect. At the time of the recording, Naylor was being held on the initial charges. The host correctly noted that the investigation did not end there. The logical next step in the legal process is the grand jury review. The grand jury has the authority to review all the evidence gathered by the police, the phone data, the search warrant findings, the confession video, and the charges, and potentially add additional charges based on what may have been found on other electronic devices, like home computers or storage drives, or expanded distributions. For more true crime stories like this, hit the subscribe button. Rosen confirmed that he had been in communication with the police department later that day, providing additional information to aid their investigation. The fact that the police spent nearly a week before formally filing the charges indicated a diligent and thorough process of forensic extraction and evidence cataloging, ensuring that every piece of illegal material was documented as a distinct count if possible. This painstaking work is essential to securing the maximum possible sentence and preventing the charges from being successfully challenged on technical grounds. The conversation with Alex Rosen touched upon the enduring nature of digital evidence, even for a cautious offender like Naylor. Rosen noted that while Naylor might have attempted to beat and delete material, viewing it and then swiftly removing it from his device, digital forensics makes such material highly traceable. Files are rarely truly deleted. Rather, the space they occupy is simply marked as available, making them recoverable by skilled technicians. The ultimate measure of Naylor's crime was the quantity and nature of the files police were able to forensically retrieve. The confirmed possession of multiple images and 2 videos of the most extreme nature provided the solid foundation for the felony charges. The conviction on these charges would carry a mandatory minimum sentence, and the distribution count, in particular, elevates the severity of the legal penalty, as it signifies a more active role in the trade of illegal material, rather than just passive viewing. The case of Benjamin Naylor, captured by a hidden camera sting operation, serves as a stark reminder of the digital double lives lived by predators and the ongoing necessity of citizen intervention and rigorous law enforcement. His crimes were confirmed by his own words and by the horrific evidence found on his personal phone, directly linking his actions to the exploitation and abuse of specific, vulnerable children. The accountability was multifaceted. He lost his freedom, his job, and his anonymity. His case now moves through the Ohio court system, where the final judgment will determine the length of his sentence for pandering and illegal use of minors in performance/material. The goal of the prosecution, now fortified by the comprehensive evidence provided by the predator poachers and confirmed by the police, is to ensure that Benjamin Naylor remains incarcerated for a very long time, permanently removed from the internet and the community he endangered. The children in the images he possessed and distributed represent the ultimate victims whose pain must be addressed by the justice system. And as always, you've been watching True Crime Story Vault, where every case is examined with facts, clarity, and respect for the people affected. If you want to see more fact-based true crime stories like this one, make sure you subscribe and share your thoughts in the comments.